Hello everyone, welcome back to Miss Preston's story. And as we've just found out, she's been found guilty, so she's going to be hung, and I guess that's where we're heading now. The blackness were becoming impenetrable. The sun was coming up, my last dawning, and the last for everyone in here. As one, we stood and gathered together by thin slits in the east wall beyond which lay the River Foss, the same river that had seeped persistently into this dark chamber throughout any time here. I lifted my foot and brought it down in a splash, just to feel the sensation of water. I felt little else, only a silent chill which had not lifted since I'd understood the import of Altham's words. Happened every other bugger here felt the same, coldness, as none had spoken for hours. None had berated my splash, none had pushed any other to better their own position on the floor. None had done aught but face the incoming sun, hushed and lost in their own terrors. The door slammed open. This time I did not flinch. None turned to face the incomer until, one by one, we were shackled and forced from the room. When my turn came, I followed the gaoler, watching my own 2 feet, following step by step, wondering how they were doing that. I weren't telling them to lift and move forward. I weren't walking to my doom. Not I. Yet my feet took another pace and another, then so light. My feet stopped as I lifted my face to the dawn rays. What little there yet were reaching over the castle walls. I kept my face turned heavenward as I were pushed into the back of the cart and forced to sit. Father Greaves were with me, another woman and another half dozen men I had not yet spoken with. But it were too late now to begin friendships. 2 guards with swords at their belts, and holding old battered pistols, their matches smouldering in readiness, climbed into the cart and sat at the back, keeping the weapons ready to bear on us. More on horseback fell in behind. Walk on. The cart jolted as the course strained and stepped forward. We left the castle through the south gate. The walls were crumbling, with green sprouts and buds of nature finding life within them. Whole castle were falling down. Rumbling over the drawbridge, I caught my last glimpse of the River Foss. I were determined to note every sight, savour every moment of life still allotted to me. The cart turned westward, through the arched postern, and followed the walls. Clifford towers looming high above us. I granted Miss Anne a small smile. It should have been a magnificent sight, but after the old gaoler had removed the battlements and roof to sell it for his own gain, afore he was stopped, it looked poor and tumble down. It reflected the might of the city of York no more, only its greed. I took great delight in the sight of the tree growing through a gap in the curtain wall, and the pile of stone it had displaced with the power of its determination to live. There were a lesson in that somewhere. We trundled alongside overhanging houses of timber almost close enough to touch, until we passed an open area, and I could see the tall spire of St. Mary's to our right. I stared up at its length as the cart horse plodded along its deadly route, wondering if it truly did point the way to heaven, or were it all a lie. That thought made the chill inside me grow even colder. Before long, the great river house were before us, my last ever sight of that majestic flow of water. I stared downstream as we crossed the stone bridge and realised Maggie and Lizzie would be laden in the hold of one of the 3 masted ships, anchored there soon to escape York by that passage. I raised my hands in a salute, an easier process today since the gaoler had honoured his bargain with William and used lighter manacles for this journey, and was struck on the temple by one of the guards. I cursed and struggled back to sit in position, just in time to see the last glimmer of the morning sun reflect off the rippled river. Then it were gone. The cart slowed as Micklegate rose past St. Martin's cum Gregory's church, the carter bellowing to the crowds walking to Knavesmire to move aside and grant us passage. Many did not. This were their day out, and they would wring as much enjoyment as they could from each moment of hanging day. It only come about once every 3 months. Their reply were to boo and hiss and to throw cabbage leaves and fill from the street at us. I bowed my head and allowed me to send a small smile at the guards, being pelted just as thoroughly as we were condemned. Near the brow of the hill we passed out of the city. Micklegate Bar were too narrow to allow folk to walk alongside us, and we enjoyed a brief moment of peace as we passed beneath it. I stared behind us at the city walls and bar. It had been prettied up for the visit of King James, not 10 years before. Yet already its limestone facing were falling away to reveal the gritstone behind. It was still imposing, though, reaching up our 30-foot high. Sir William once told me years ago, before either of us had ever thought of setting out on a journey such as this. I glared at its turrets and battlements, and in particular, the stone figure of the king, the biggest witch hunter in the land. Well, I would never again have to suffer the city of York, nor the rest of the King James of England. The road rose more shallowly as we proceeded along the mount. Dwellings were replaced by green fields and woods, and I pulled in deep chestfuls of sweet country air. I closed my eyes just for a moment. I imagined Miss N to be at home, and then flicked them open as a new, louder sound rolled around us. I could not imagine what it could be. The cart turned past the Knavesmere herdsman cottage, and Pinfold filled with his sheep, and I saw the large green swathe of land known as Knavesmere were full of people. Those, I knew, were still making their way here. There would be, well, thousands of witnesses to this sham of justice. Guards pushed people aside to make way for us. The cart stopped. This were York's Tyburn. This, then, were, indeed, the three-legged mare. And that's the end of that episode, guys. And what that means is three-legged mare, the gallows. They're at the gallows, finally. And that's what that means, so clear. Thank you for listening, and many blessings.